Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the EUS Challenger Series number 7. We should be getting underway with our first round match between Heimerdingers, Colossi, and Giants in just 1 second. It was going to be Dignitas UK. They were scheduled to play this game, but had to drop out. So Giants have replaced them on a last-minute basis. It's going to be interesting to see how they do. They have a bit of a history together, and Metas, who is with me, by the way, I think you commented that like the lineups aren't exactly the same, but quite a few of the players have played against each other in the LCS before.
Yeah, well, exactly what you just said, that there are these, lineups aren't the XLCS teams, but a lot of the players have had experience together playing off against each other before. I have to apologize right off the bat, guys. I'm really under the weather and actually quite sick, so if I don't have my normal levels of enthusiasm or energy, that is the reason why. I am just very much under the weather, but Spud, I'm sure, is going to be oozing manliness and energy as these casts progress on. Either way, we are onto the picks and bans here, Spud. Zach and Jace have been banned almost instantly.
Yeah, well, my manly musk is probably not going to be transmitted over the internet. It's sadly a smell to do with not washing. I mean, so we have got bans, as you say. Shen, Zach, Jace. None of those particularly unusual. I mean, Jace is just kind of very, very strong. Keep him out of the hands of Extinct because he will ruin you. Shen, obviously, very, very solid character, global presence. Twisted Fate, very similar in that respect as well. You know, these are just kind of good bans. The only one that's maybe slightly a bit targeted is the Jace, but to be honest, he's worth banning anyway because he's a really strong character.
Yeah, he's definitely now revered as a top tier pick. If you go back to Season 2, I'm thinking of Soaz at top lane really introduced him at the start, obviously, and from there it became somewhat of a niche pick where some players, if they felt the composition warranted it, if they're going for a poke comp or something similar, they may pull out the Jace, but Extinct really loves to use the Jace. As you said before, if you allow him to use it, he's going to roll over your team, he's going to be a real burden in mid lane and just destroy everybody. So fairly understandable. First pick for HC Heimerdingers Colossi is going to be Jarvan. It's only Mortal Cannon, but we have seen both him and Maluno run it respectively, so could be top, could be jungle.
And then that's actually a very, very useful thing to have under your belt. If you don't signal where a character is going, that makes it a lot harder for your opponents to plan around you. If you've got that Jarvan and it could be going top, could be going jungle, could even, on a bit of a weird day, go mid, it's difficult. You can't then say, right, well, we're going to counter Jarvan with, actually, I don't really know who counters Jarvan that well. He's kind of countered just by not dying to him really early on because his damage is hard. It's hard to itemize for damage, so you just have to build tank, and then people tend to outtrade you. But someone like a Zach top actually would probably be pretty decent against him. So obviously Jarvan, pretty solid pick. Don't know where he's going. Could be going top, could be going jungle, and we do have some other picks coming out as well.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, as you just said, could be played in mid, I was suddenly reminded that Extinct played him in mid. Over the weekend for the Scan and Nvidia Invitationals, he actually took Jarvan mid and did a really nice job against Diana, I believe it was, or Kha'Zix. It was one of those two characters, and really just stamped his authority from the very get-go onwards, built full tank because they had a tanky lineup behind him, and then did a phenomenal job. Interesting picks coming out from Giants. They didn't ban Draven against Freeze, which we have said time and time again is his go-to AD carry. He plays such a strong Draven. So instead they're going to pick it up for themselves alongside the Malphite, and we saw this over the weekend as well. Corki and Sona bot lane, Mithy and Freeze. Not the AD carry that everybody expects to see, but Freeze runs such a strong Corki, goes for an early tier of the Goddess, builds it into a Mana Moon, of course a Muramana as time goes on, and a Vampiric Scepter, and then from there he kind of extends his reach out to the likes of Bloodthirsters and such, so definitely one to watch out for.
Yeah, I mean, his Corki is kind of unique because he's able to really make the early game strength of Corki count. Corki has tons of damage early game, but he has very poor mana pool. people tend to have a lot of problems with that as a result, especially when you compare it to someone like Draven, who is a real bully early on as well, but his mana costs are very low so long as he's only using his spinning axe. And even if he starts using Blood Rush, even if he starts using Stand Aside, it's not going to be so bad. But obviously Corki has got an escape, which is a very big deal on AD carries, especially compared to Draven, who is escapeless, which can be a serious problem if you're up against characters like, say, Jarvan, because if you have Jarvan, for instance, flag and dragging onto Draven, and he stand asides during the flag and drag, that doesn't knock him aside, as far as I'm aware. Does it interrupt the dash? He certainly can't be interrupted during Cataclysm anyway, but it's very, very difficult to avoid being engaged upon by Jarvan, and we are seeing possibly a Diana pick.
Especially when you consider that they have the crescendo from Sona, and we see so many teams doing this, in particular Heimerdingers Colossi. Every time, I'm not too sure about this statistic, but I'm going to say at least 90% of the time when they pick Jarvan, they will pick Sona support just to lock down the crescendo Cataclysm combo. Yes, as you just said before, were they thinking of Diana? They have just locked that one in alongside the Vladimir. Now, I've not seen Vladimir picked on Heimerdinger's Colossi at all, so I'm very interested to see how this is going to integrate into their team combo. Of course, the Hemo Plague, after the Crescendo and Cataclysm go down, will pretty much hit everybody that they want.
Yeah, and plus Vlad is a really hard counter to Malphite in top lane. It's nearly impossible for a Malphite to beat out Vlad because he just doesn't have the burst damage to knock him down from 100 to 0. He doesn't have the sustained damage to stop him from sustaining, and he can't tank through the damage from Vlad that Vlad will put out consistently, constantly. So it's a really, really nasty matchup for him. And if you try and swap it up, Vlad is probably going to be the better 1v2 laner as well. There is obviously a risk of being dived, but the same is true of Malphite. Malphite's still fairly squishy early, so yeah, I really do actually like that Vladimir pickup. That's going to work for them pretty well, but Diana versus Ryze mid, that's going to be a little bit more difficult, I think, there for Extinct, assuming he's going in the mid. I don't know.
Yeah, they have switched around, actually. They switched around a few times. It does look like Extinct is taking Diana, and obviously as the mid laner, we would expect him to run Diana mid. But we have seen time and time again in these EUS Challenger series that it can be a bit hickledy-pickledy all over the place. You can have a 1v2 lane mid even, with the AD carry and support opting to go there. So definitely one to watch out for. Interesting stylistic clash here between the two teams that we see every time that Freeze picks up the Draven. Mithy will run Alistar. They are trying to make it a kill lane. But on the side of Giants instead, they're going for a bit more of a, I was going to say an aggressive passive support laner in Lulu, which sounds strange, but she's harassment based. But then with the ultimate comes in, obviously very much a defensive mechanism or an engage mechanism if you look alongside Malphite, who's going to be jumping in with the Unstoppable Force, Wild Growth on top of that, knocking them back in the air again. So that's fairly interesting. But ladies and gents, we are into the delay now of the very first game of the EUS Challenger Series number 7. We're going to cut to a very quick break, and when you join us, will be live for game number 1 between Giants and Heimerdingers Colossi. We'll see you right after this. Oh,
I don't
okay.
mind.
Hello ladies and gents, welcome back to Kaostv's live coverage of the EUS Challenger Series number 7. Apologies if you just heard some random talking there as we went live again. Hopefully it was nothing too bad. Either way, I'm joined by Spuddington. I believe we are going to both be bringing you all the action of tonight because the other cast is already, well, previously engaged, I'll just put it that way. And we are into game number 1 of the day between Giants and Heimerdingers Colossi. And, well, I say live, Spud, we're actually on pause. I'm not too sure what's happening here, but it should be a good game regardless.
There's always a pause. It's inevitable. There's just you cannot get through a day of esports action without having a pause at some point, because 10 computers, someone is going to break at some point over however many games we play. So yeah, inevitability, nothing much you can do about it, but yeah, I'm still actually on the loading screen because I was quite slow to get in because we were talking in the break, as you may have heard when we started. But I'll never stop giving our producer something for that. But jumping to live, because the pause has actually now ended and there is that little bug, it does look like we actually have some action in the jungle here. Malunu not getting jumped upon. They're just going to put that ward down, and it does look like Giants are looking to back out here.
Yep, very true. They did get a very aggressive ward down on and around the Wraiths though, which is going to give them a fair bit of well, I was going to say information, but it has just been taken down. Pink dropped from Mithy, and yeah, that's going to be completely out of question. Maluna has just got a bit of harassment down from him, courtesy of Exeter on Rise. Going to be coming into this bush, so very aggressive start from Giants, and it's going to take a lot of poke damage. Doesn't look like we're going to have a full engage kicking off. The Damashian standard did come out, but with the flag and drag not available, no real initiation tools here from Heimerdingers Colossi. So indeed they will pull back, and I have to feel that maybe one of the best ways to beat Heimerdingers Colossi, Spuddington, is just aggression. Matching them blow for blow with aggression, because that's exactly what HC bring to the table themselves.
Yeah, and that Giants were famous for that when they were in the LCS, and we are actually seeing again more poke damage coming out. However, this is not stopping Corki and that and the Sona there taking the golems, so they will have that XP advantage, and Giants are committing a lot of resources to this. They've committed their entire team here. Vlad is returning up top, and we could see a smite fight here. Samuk's taking damage here. He is going to back out. It looks like they may cede this buff back, but if they do, that's going to be a lot of commitment from them and not a lot of gain in return. It does look like Vlad will go to top. I do feel they're going to get this. They did indeed manage to smite that away, but Vlad is still top. They got it and wasted a lot of time for 4 members of their opponent's team, but wasted a lot of time for 5 members of their own.
Yeah, that is very true. So Malphite's actually going bot lane. He's going to be 1v2 up against Freeze and Mithy. Meanwhile, Draven and also Tremnek on Lulu are heading up to top. So even though Vladimir did get a good minute or two, well, I say minute or two, 30 or so seconds to himself at top lane, he is going to be in a 1v2 lane against Lulu Draven. It's a lot of poke, it's a lot of harassment, and pure damage coming down. So I just wonder if it was a calculated decision from Giants. They got the red steal as well, so that is going to slow down Maluno a tiny bit in his own jungle. And Lee Sin, as we know, we've seen this before, Spuddington, if he gets a good start, he could really start getting the ball rolling.
Yeah, I mean, he is the crazy early game oriented jungler. Mobility, damage, tankiness, slippery, everything about him in the early game is incredibly strong. And if he was as strong as he is early game, all game, he would be broken basically, because you'd never beat Lee Sin on equal terms. That being said though, he does have to make things happen. If he doesn't, there's going to be serious problems. He does fall off late game, that's something we've said a lot, but it bears repeating, and obviously he will look for opportunities, but if things are too warded, Lee Sin doesn't have that many methods of getting past wards. Unless he's got, you know, a sightstone or something, he can't really slip past, so he's going to go for this bot lane here, but can he actually do anything?
It's a very valid point. Jarvan's actually flashing up red on Wraith, so I was a bit worried for him there. There is a ward down in this tri-bush area above the bot tower. Very smart warding against Morden's Lee Sin, because One of the great things about early game Lee Sin is his maneuverability and mobility around the map is just insane. With his W, the safeguard, because he can jump onto wards, as you mentioned before. A lot of Lee Sins, the likes of Insect, will take a sight stone early on into the game. Not only does it give him a bit of tank ability with the HP, but on top of that, it is going to allow him to pretty much use safeguard whenever it's off cooldown. For escaping, for engaging, you also see a lot of Lee Sins flashing behind the back lines and dragons kicking the AD carry or AP carry into the rest of the lineup. So as this game progresses on, I feel like Morden is going to have a massive, massive influence.
Yeah, and Malunu will be looking to counter him where he can early on, because that's all he really needs to do. If the game stalls out, Jarvan is going to be much more valuable. Yamato Cannon taking quite a lot of damage in this top lane, did take, about half his health there. He's got a lot of pots though, he's got that rejuve bead and obviously innate sustain. Morden is hanging around in that bottom lane. He's not going to be able to do anything, but you've got that really nice ward there. Mithy must have put that down a little while ago, and that's going to give them the vision. That means Morden can't slip away, and it also means they'll know if he does leave. Malunu is there. He is just going to be flagging it, and it does look like they just want to push this tower down. Smite comes down from Morden. He's trying to push them off. They are going the slows here. They're putting Mithy in a bit of a painful situation, but can they really hold this suit for long?
Well, they are delaying it enough time. But is it just going to be delaying the inevitable? Because this tower is so low, I should say, just 600 HP. Both Malphite and Morden now are going to be pulling themselves back, so they weren't able to keep the tower alive this time. But how much time have they bought their team here at top? Because obviously with Malunu being at bot lane, he can't be helping Yamato Cannon. It is pretty low itself, so I have to say that overall this lane switch is looking pretty good for Heimerdingers Colossi. They've already picked up the bot tower. And if they go ahead and rotate their AD carry and support to top lane, which it looks like they're doing, they could even save that as well.
The question is whether they can take this out on this push. You've got Tremnik and you've got Neo Chaos. They're going to get this tower, I feel. Yamato Cannon can't push them off. So it's actually only going to be a 1-for-1 in terms of towers. That's pretty good for them because the alternative was putting Samux on that Malphite up against Vlad. And that is a horrifically unbalanced lane in the favor of Vlad. I mean, it's one of the hardest counters there is to Malphite. And we are now seeing Draven putting down the damage, but he's on half health. Freeze could try and chase this down. He's going to Valkyrie in. Stand aside goes down. The Whimsy goes down as well. They are going to back out. It's not going to be too big of a problem.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure if they'd pick the top tower up, but all credit to them being aggressive there as both Mithy and Freeze were heading on towards the top lane. Malunu now is joining alongside them, so looks like they want to be picking up this top tower as well. But here comes the teleport in from Samux, and he is going to try his best to stave off this onslaught. Does have the unstoppable force picked and off cooldown, but do you think he can hold on, Spodington? Because the minions are dying, but the tower is taking a pasting.
He may want to actually use Unstoppable Force to clear the minions here. He's not actually really going to be doing much though. It looks like they're going to be sacrificing this top tower. Samux is just playing the delay game here. They want to take this dragon, and then they're going to go rotate on that bottom tower, and I don't feel Yamato Cannon will be able to stop that. If Samux can hold them here for long enough, commit them for long enough, he's always got that Unstoppable Force to run away if they try to go in on him. He's just using the attack speed slows to slow down their damage. Look, they're going down for that push on the bottom. Yamato Cannon taking some damage. He's taking the axes. We've actually got the Hemoplay going down in bottom lane. We've got the ultimate, the Unstoppable Force from Samux in top. I don't know who to follow here. Samux is in trouble, but he's actually getting out. Neither of the people actually died there, but I feel like now is going to be the time to push this bottom tower. Vlad did push a lot though.
Yeah, interestingly enough though, Samux didn't need to pop his ulti or his flash in the process of escaping unless I have a client bug, so that was quite strange. Hemoplague was used at bot lane, as you mentioned before, on towards Draven, but wasn't anywhere near enough damage to even put him off. But with the Drake for top tower trade from the two teams, yes, it was a smart, quick reaction from Giants, but your Drake will be respawning. Top tower, however, will not be. So that is definitely one thing to take into account, as Neo Chaos is going very aggressive onto Yamato Cannon at the bot lane. Looks like they are going to be trying to push the envelope right now onto the bot tower of Heimerdingers Colossi.
Yeah, so putting down the damage on this tower is what they want to do. Don't feel like NeoChaos can take this alone though. Obviously Tremnek will be coming up, but there's just this risk that they may overcommit here. There is a ward, they do have good coverage. If someone goes in through the gap into that river around mid, they will know. If someone comes through try, they will know. But there are longer routes that could be taken around. People could jump over walls. People could come through the lane as well, so there is a risk they could get caught here, but they are just pushing aggressively. They do know that Freeze is in that mid lane, and they know where Sona and Diana are as well, so they're going to continue pushing this down, threatening Yamato Cannon with the spinning axes when they can, putting the damage on the tower if they can manage that as well. Jarvan coming in, has got that smite on the big golem. I feel he's going to arrive before they can push the tower down though.
Yeah, very true. Lee Sin coming in. Mordant is on the prowl for a kill, but not going to be working just yet. Fairly much the standard meta compositions now in effect. I use that in quotation marks because you got the two duo lanes at bot lane. In fact, no, you don't. What am I talking about? The duo lane for Heimerdingers Colossi is in the mid, but it was previously at bot lane. However, I'm wondering how this is going to work into Giants' favour, with Draven by and large getting free farms, but he's one of those characters that if he gets a lot of CS behind him, a lot of gold, he can start to rip through everybody in the mid-game period.
Well, Draven does tons of damage at every stage of the game. The question is whether he can fulfill the conditions to do it. And spinning axes are going to be hard to catch if he's going to have to be trying to dodge Diana and Jarvan in team fights. If he can get into situations where they've already committed their gap closers, then obviously that'll suit him well. He'll be in a good spot then. But I feel like he's going to have more problems putting down his maximum damage potential than, you know, say, Corki, who could do it at a long range. Poke is much more reliant on abilities than auto attacks, just has the range. Yeah, that being said though, there is a lot more damage from it, and actually Extinct getting aggressive on Samux in top lane. He's not going to be able to do much though. Samux is just a wee bit too tanky, but he might push down this tower.
Yeah, even though he may not be able to pick up the kill, he is doing enough pressure to keep Malphite well and truly on his side of the map. The flash comes in from Exeter there. Crescendo narrowly missing on towards Rise, but it will stave off enough to keep them going. Meanwhile, at top lane, as we were saying, that Malphite's too tanky. He will be going down for first blood after 11.5 minutes, and this could very well mean that Extinct can put down a lot of pressure at the top lane after clearing this creep wave. Needs to be careful though, because Morden has just queued his way and then safeguarded through. Meanwhile, bot lane, the tower's gone down, but Extinct against Morden. Who's going to come out on top? Dragon's Rage right to the chops of Diana, will be getting taken up. Meanwhile, at bot though, Vladimir is going to be going onto Draven with a very aggressive Lulu in hot pursuit. I don't think she can finalize the kill though.
No, but Exeter is here, and Yamato Cannon has, I think, already used his pool. There we go, he's going to be taken out very easily. That's, it's still looking good for Heimerdingers Colossi, though, because they are the ones taking towers at the moment. They are still the ones pushing, they are still the ones at an advantage. However, they are using a kind of a split pushing approach. They're having that Diana shove in top lane, and the more towers they take, the harder it's going to be to keep splitting up the composition from Giants. And Giants do have a lot of damage in their setup. They've got Draven, they've got that Rise. You know, they have two huge damage sources if they can keep them protected. And it's going to be good for them to have a full-on team fight, so long as they don't allow themselves to get completely locked down by that setup from Heimerdingers Colossi. Being said, though, I do feel like they have a problem at the moment. They are behind on gold, and they are having a lot of troubles pushing out waves. They just don't seem to have the wave clear at the moment.
Yeah, and again, Heimerdingers Colossi are just so aggressive. I thought from that beginning that Giants put out that maybe they would be pushing back just as hard, but with Malphite at top lane, he's not exactly known for his pushing ability. Was back at his second tower when dying to Diana, and did take a bit of a scratch as well. Some pings going down towards Morden right now. I'm going to be chasing after him, but as we said before, actually, hold that thought, because Extinct has jumped in, forcing the Dragon's Rage again to knock him back and the flash through the wall. So, kind of caught Morden off guard behind enemy lines. But as we said before, Spuddington, he has gone for the Sightstone. So those safeguards will be coming through thick and fast.
Yeah, so that Sightstone is pretty much seeming to become like almost obligatory on Lee Sin now, because you need to take advantage of that incredible mobility. And it also just provides a lot of utility. If you're spamming wards everywhere, Tremnek could be in trouble here. Malunu is on the other side of the wall. There is a ward there. I feel like Tremnek knows that and might be trying to bait this out, or Malunu may feel that he knows that. Oh, what the hell is that ward doing? I... How's he even manage that? Does that actually see anything? Apparently it does. Well, anyway, having Samux rotating towards mid, and the rest of Giants are looking to threaten this dragon, which is being taken by Heimerdingers Colossi.
It is definitely being taken right now, about 50% health, and here comes Maluna from the side, has been rune prisoned in, Hemo Plague as well, will be landing onto both Extra and Tremnek. Rolling Death comes through, only clips the side of Mythy though. Now going to be re-engaging Crescendo lads on a couple of plays, Samux jumping in the wild growth afterwards, knocking them both up twice consecutively. So much damage going down, so many deaths are coming as a result, so 1 for 2 at the moment. Neo Chaos has just fallen as well, so now they're going to be chasing after Morden. The question is, does he have his safeguard off cooldown? Yes, he does. Here comes Maluno from behind, though. Doesn't manage to land the flag and drag. And after that ridiculous action, it was a 2 for 3 with a potential Drake pickup as well. Extinct needs to be very careful, though, because Morden is still hanging around the area. And with Extinct on such low HP, that could be a victim. Nope, Lee Sin's just going to farm mid instead.
Yeah, it was a little bit risky. There's always that pale cascade to consider. I mean, you get that Q on you from Lee Sin, suddenly you're like, oh heck, and then you just pop that shield. And I also have a funny feeling, if you were frankly excessively Korean about it, if you were to use Moonfall while Lee Sin was in flight with that kick, I'm not actually sure how it would react, because it would be a forced displacement and it might cancel the kick. I've never seen it happen, and I don't know if it actually would, but I would be interested to see it, and that might play on your mind if you are obviously a top player and do experience things which require enormous mechanical skill a lot more frequently than I do, for instance.
I was just wondering if Morden was going to go full man mode and try the Drake steal while killing Extinct. That would be a highlight clip, but as you say, it was very, very risky, very much a gamble, and instead would rather to just push the lane in mid and get himself some farm. But as a result of that team fight, the goal differential now is 3.2k in favour of HC, looking very strong against Bud, and I wonder if Giants can dethrone them. They have been on a tear recently. Speaking of tears, Seismic Shot goes down onto Immortal Cannon. He is going to run away as the bot tower falls.
Yeah, that's a good pickup there. That was a good timing push from Draven, and then we have that Lulu, but Exter could be in trouble in the mid. He has popped that ultimate. Movement speed buff going to keep him away. Top lane, Samux has got the damage down, has got the Hemo Plague on him though. Morden kicks him away. He's not going to die of that, but I'm not sure Morden has the damage to take down Yamato Cannon. He's got the red buff. He lands the Q. That's an easy kill once he's gotten that down. And Samux is actually nearly dying to minions, but I think he's going to be okay unless Mithy goes for this. He doesn't choose to do so. He maybe could have gone for the... Oh, he didn't have flash up, so no worries.
Yeah, and he must have known that Morden was still lurking around in the shadows, so it would have been a real ballsy play from Mithy there. And may not have even finalized the kill, because Malphite, if his passive, the Granite Shield, comes back up just at the wrong time, Mithy is going to be caught with his pants down around his ankles. So has just gone to mid instead. But interestingly enough, in that little ruckus at top lane between Yamato Cannon, Samux, and finally Morden, he burnt his Hemo Plague and ignited Malphite. Tried his best to pick up the kill while Hemo Plague was going down, because of course it will give Vlad additional damage against characters who have been infected by it. Not quite enough though, Spud. Very, very close.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of clutch situations where it's just straight up down to damage trading effectively and mechanics as to who comes out on top. Samux will be again playing the rock to try and stop the split pushing from Heimerdingers Colossi. They really want that top tower. And Extinct actually there, I think, just whiffed his Q when he tried to ult in to get a second Q. And Samux is chasing this down. He's just going to keep hitting him. They have got Morden coming in. He has used that safeguard. Flashed the Unstoppable Force. That's a good trade there in terms of cooldowns. Flash is a lot longer than Unstoppable Force, although in a team fight, Unstoppable Force will be very important. So Heimerdingers Colossi might have a timing push here.
Yeah, as you say, I mean, Flash is around 300 seconds cooldown, whereas Unstoppable Force is just 90 seconds left already. But with that being said, they are now going to try and put some pressure on the mid lane. Whirling Death comes out from Draven, Flag and Drag from Maluna in the meantime, on towards Morden. Can't really hope to pick up that kill, but in doing so, again, just putting pressure in the mid lane and making things happen. We haven't really looked at the itemization so far, Spud, so while we have a bit of a lull in the action, I say that, but I can see that Extra is moving his way towards top, and this is one of the great things about watching two hyper-aggressive teams. There is always something happening.
Yeah, they never want to just let something go uncontested. They never want to just passively farm. They're always looking for objectives, and you can see now Mithy is looking to take control of the jungle. He's got that Oracle, so he'll be clearing out wards, and if they can get that vision control, that will make their split pushing much, much stronger. And I've got to wonder here, is Draven maybe overextending a bit?
He's definitely outstaying his welcome. And Extinct alongside Heimerdingers Colossi were in hot pursuit, but Draven with his Blood Rush, which will give him a nice little steroid movement speed, gets his way out of dodge. Lots of wards going down from both sides, but you do have an Oracles on both Tremnek and also Mithy, so even though wards are going down thick and fast, they're also being destroyed very quickly on top of that. Interesting build coming out here from Draven. He's gone for Bloodthirster into a Negatron Cloak.
Well, what that tells me is he's very afraid of the burst coming out from his opponents. He's very afraid of Vlad. He's very afraid of Diana. I'm not sure he's going to have quite as much damage as he'd like. I mean, obviously, he's not going to have full-on massive damage, but there is something to be said. Draven does have tons of damage built into his kit, and he just does scale extremely well with only the Bloodthirst. Indeed, for a one-item AD carry, he may have the highest damage of anyone. Don't quote me on that, but he is a very, very high damage with very few items. That being said, I do wonder whether it's maybe a little bit early. I'd be very surprised if he built a Quicksilver Sash. If he did that, that would really be committing a lot of gold without having much return. And if Draven isn't really very, if he isn't a high damage threat, then kind of there's no point in being Draven. If you're not, that's why you don't see AD carries building as a tank, because they don't do anything if you do that.
Oh, Samex at top is taking a bit of a pounding from Extinct, jumping back in again. Samex already about quarter HP is forced to flash through, so again, one of those initiation tools on Malphite will no longer be on the table for Giants. I do wonder if Draven goes for the Quicksilver Sash, if they're going to be going more towards late game. Morden has just been caught out though from Maluno, using the Sightstone and the Flash as well. So that is 2 flashes down from Giants in quick succession. And with the Drake up, this could be the moment they go for it. Teleport coming in from Malphite though on the side. And Heimerdingers Colossi are looking to pull themselves back. But this is on a razor's edge right now, Spud. Either team could engage, and in fact it's going to be Maluno jumping in with the flag and drag. Cataclysm as well down onto Tremnek. In the meantime though, X is taking so much damage on the side from Extinct. He's been Dragon's Raged away courtesy of Lee Sin. Crescendo in the mix as well. 1 kill going down only with a lot of ultimates. Speaking of which, Hemoplague has just landed on both Morden and Samex, but it's not going to do anything. They have done enough, however, Spuddington, to pick up another Drake.
Yeah, and it's just this slow burn again. They're pushing them back. The team fights are always going against Giants at the moment, and I just feel they don't have enough damage at the moment to burst out someone like Malunu when he dives into the backline. Malunu is, he's a pure tank, but he's doing enough damage to threaten Draven, who is committed to a lot of magic resist. He's doing enough, CC to break up the formation from Giants. At the moment, it is looking risky for them. However, they do have some really great scaling in the form of Rise. He has also picked up that Negatron Cloak. I do feel like Giants, in the long run, may have a good, solid team fight. But at the moment, it's definitely Heimerdingers Colossi going up against them, and Heimerdingers Colossi are definitely building an advantage again here. They've got now, about 5,000 gold between them. The tower in mid, though, might go down.
Yeah, very well might, because Maluno is only about half of his health hit points right now, so indeed the mid tower will fall, which will give a bit more global gold into the back pocket of Giants. And looking at their build, looking at their composition as well, I can't help but feel here, Spud, that they have a very good foundation to go into that mid to latter stages of the game. If they can just keep this going, not lose as much global objectives, because their outer towers are down, but their inner towers are still up and fairly healthy, so they can stall this one out.
Yeah. So, yeah, stalling it out could be a little bit difficult, though. Wave clear for Giants, they're somewhat reliant on Malphite, somewhat reliant on Lulu. They're actually going in. We've got the unstoppable force on Yamato Cannon. Yamato Cannon has been rooted in place, but the ult is going to miss from Draven because he has got that pull. And now they've locked down the backline. The entire backline from Giants was locked down. Yamato Cannon is very, very low. Hemoplague has gone down. Vlad having to run out off the side. He did get away, though. He's trying to sustain himself. Neo Chaos is in trouble. He's gone down. Luna with the counter engage. Freeze picking that up. Exter now has locked down Extinct, but it's not going to be enough. The Luna Rush goes down. The Squirrel goes down. That might be enough to keep him alive, but I don't think it matters. This fight is going in the favor of Heimerdingers Colossi. They've taken out Tremnek. They've taken out the Samux, I think, there. And that is a very convincing fight again for Heimerdingers Colossi.
And interestingly enough, that was all initiated and instigated from Giants. Samux jumping through, as you said before, on Team Auto Cannon. But the problem with focusing down Vladimir is once he goes into his Sanguine pool, he's not going to do any damage. So he was just kind of baiting out all of the ultimates, all of the abilities coming down onto him. Extinct played no part in that team fight up until the last half, where he jumped in and just crunched through Draven, crunched through Tremnek as well, and it was pretty much just a clean-up crew. With that 4-for-0, I think it was actually a 3-for-0 in exchange, and the Baron, they are now going to be recalling to spawn with so much gold at their disposal. And when they come back again, it's just going to be sad times for Giants. Look at that, 3-0 Jarvan, 3-0 Corki, who already has a Last Whisper, a Bloodthirster, and is building towards that Mana Moon. It's really terrifying times for Giants.
Yeah, what can you do at the moment? Exter cannot survive against Diana, and neither can Neo Chaos, and that means if she's not committed, they can't commit. And you saw in that fight that started at an advantage to them. They caught them out, but Malunu was able to lock down the backline and was able to then jump forward. It was just so well played by Heimerdingers Colossi, but Giants having so much trouble at the moment. And I'm not sure if they can really do anything with that Baron buff up against them. If Heimerdingers Colossi go for dive, I'm not sure Giants will live.
That's very true. You know, I said before that they could potentially stall it out. What I hadn't foreseen, though, is that we'd have a big engage kicking off and a Baron alongside losing that mid-second tower. So, very much on the cards now. Jarvan already has himself a Randuin's Omen and a Spirit of the Ancient Golem, which are fairly substantial, important items at 26.5 minutes through the game. Having a quick look at Draven's build, he hasn't gone for the Quicksilver Sash, instead pickaxe and also longsword, so he's going for the Last Whisper, but Maluno is just tanking the tower like a boss. He doesn't really seem to care that much, and it's taken it already below 50% HP, so maybe with Extinct at the top lane, Giants are going to be forced into a desperation engage, which looks likely. Crescendo's gone down, the Unstoppable Force will be landing onto Mithy, Freeze and Maluno, but the damage has already been done. Their tank is out of the equation. However, having said that, though, Rise has managed to pick himself up a kill onto Vladimir. Here comes the cavalry. Don Warden safeguarding through the wall will keep him alive. But the Baron buff, of course, with the regen stats, is going to be happier times for Heimerdingers Colossi, who are going back in for take 2.
Yeah, we've actually got Extinct taking a lot of damage, but they're going to take this tower, and I think then they'll just back out. Or possibly go for the engage here, but Freeze putting down the Gatling gun. Gatling gun on Tremnek. Tremnek has been knocked up. He's going to be getting into a bit of a situation. That was a big one. Missile takes him out. We've got Exter now in trouble with Extinct. Extinct takes him down. We've got Morden running, but I don't think it's going to matter at this point. Neo Chaos has also had to run. That inhib is surely going to go down, and I just feel like Giants at the moment cannot do anything in these fights, because that fight before the tower went down, where they took out Yamato Cannon 1-for-1, Yamato Cannon lost 80% of his health before the fight happened. He just got poked down at the tower.
Yeah, it's a very good point, and sorry about that. I'm not feeling too well, so if I randomly pause, it's because I don't want to have any kind of a an accident coming up. But either way, yeah, as you said, Yamato Cannon did go very low before the team fight, so you have to feel that had he have been at full health or in a position of power, it could have gone a lot more one-sided. Crescendo was used to great effect from Mithy, just closing down all of that mid potential coming in from Giants. I think it hit both Neo Chaos and also Exter and just locked them in place. But more importantly for me, Spud, Samux got completely destroyed. An Unstoppable Force just before he was about to die didn't really help his team out. In fact, they've just gone for the surrender vote, so it gives you an idea of their mentality going into game number 2. I mean, they feel defeated.
There is no way around it. They were really quite thoroughly beaten that game. And again, Heimerdingers Colossi continuing their really dominant streak. That being said, Giants did put up a good fight. They held on for quite a while, looking relatively even. I have to say, it felt like they really threw it when they lost that Baron, the fight before that. But anyway, doesn't matter. They will be moving on to game 2 in this best of 3. And it should be another doozy, hopefully. Should be going into that in just a few seconds, though.